Hi and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Monday, June 28th, 2021, and today's topic is called Rise.Shine.Rain. It's the Summer Solstice 2021 edition. I had hoped to get it out earlier, but if you look at my previous show involving the epic sky battle during a quote-unquote lightning storm at night, you will see why that one had to kind of steal the show and upstage this one, so to speak. So we're finally getting this one out. It's a collection of the images and sky observations happening on and around the summer solstice, so between June 19th and the 21st, 2021. And before we get into those, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, kedu, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobro dnia, annyeonghaseyo, boa-tarji, dobry den, aloha winala, kalimera, guten dag, and good day. And this is just a scene of some gorgeous landscaping in South Florida. And then we're going to jump to the words, wisdom, and spirit of the day slide. And in this one, if you notice, if you saw my previous shows, the one including the Phoenix, I had some different symbols here for spirit, ether, air, fire, water, and earth, the, four elements and the fifth element here. But I was not jiving with the triangles. They're typical symbols, involving more of the triangle symbols. I just didn't feel good with it, so I created my own symbols, except for the spirit one, which is the circle. It's pretty universal. So anyway, we just have air, little current with a cloud, and fire, and waves, and the earth. So I'm going to stick with these from now on, just so you know. Now, in this case, we're just going to look at two messages. I pulled these two cards just for the show for the day. On the left, it's coming from the Daily Crystal Inspiration Oracle deck. On the right, it's going to be coming from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. So on the left, we just get the black tourmaline, and its message is protect your energy. And that means only good vibes may enter, and that's actually a good philosophy to adopt. But just know, if you're new to the world of rocks and crystals and their meanings, either metaphysical or healing properties, a lot of people recommend black tourmaline for protecting the energy, and also a lot of black stones in general. To me, that just doesn't really resonate. So I would just say, yes, these generally have certain properties, but also go with what your body and what your spirit field or a field feels good with, and use that or adopt that as your crystal for protection or whatever you want. Anyway, we're going to look at the right at the oyster card. And in this case, the message is, be patient. It's a secret keeper hiding your inner treasures. And the message is reveal your inner treasures, sharing your gifts with the world. And in this case, it does look like there's intense, bright inner uniqueness and light just busting out, waiting to get out there into the world. And to me, this isn't like the depths of the sea with plankton. To me, this is even the cosmos up above into the heavens with like confetti celebrating you. You meaning all of us. And so, yeah, I don't believe any of us came here to play it small. I mean, we all have roles to play, but shine your inner uniqueness out. Don't worry about what the outer world thinks, because you create your own outer world. So make it whatever you want, and let your inner world, reflect that and be in alignment with that, and just shine out. Be the best you there ever was. Anyway, that's just my little tip for the day. Let's get going. Anyhow, if you're new, or welcome to this channel and the show. Big heartfelt thanks for being here, and a big hearty welcome to you. If you are returning, you may want to skip this little bit ahead. Skip ahead this bit. This is just some of the basics of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And how I'm going to be doing it. So in this case, all of my slides I have here, they're going to be called original or enhanced, and I'm just going to do a narration through them. And what they are is just documenting whatever I see over the skies of Miami, Florida. Typically, it might also be, the area around in Florida or wherever I am in any given week, or, whatever the time frame I put in the description box below is. In this case, it is in and around, on the summer solstice. So what I'm doing is just taking pictures, and sometimes I see specific things that just look odd. It's just going to be strangeness, anomalies, things happening in the sky that just aren't typical, reflecting of what's been going on for decades in this area. I'm familiar with them. And sometimes it's a weird color signature, or an energy burst, or a movement, or a shape of a cloud that just doesn't seem right, or seems like something's cloaking behind there. Could be any number of things, just whatever catches my attention. Now, I said cloud activity in quotes because by cloud I mean something cloaking, and by cloaking I mean, yes, there's something artificial being hidden or concealed in the skies. I'm going to call the cloaking material plasma as my go-to. It simply means something that's heavier than water vapor, denser than cloud material, that stays in the atmosphere lingers longer and can hide stuff. Now, when I say whatever's cloaking, yeah, it can be a 3D craft. It can be something you could walk up and touch and knock on it or whatever. Or it could be something very interdimensional, very ephemeral, something that comes and goes in the sky that we can't quite put our finger on what's even causing that, creating that cloak. Or it could be something supernatural. It could be something we really don't even understand from our perspective here on Earth. Or it could be, a 3D craft that's kind of phasing in, coming in and out of state. And that's all what I'm going to refer to in this show. So anyway, let's see what comes up and presents itself. I'll probably be explaining a few more things along the way if you're new. And let's get into this. So I am going to drop in some letters also, by the way. That just helps me keep a little focused. In some scenes, it's going to be very simple what we're looking at. In other scenes, there's going to be so much going on, I can't possibly get to each and everything in each and every photo. So a lot of times I'll just leave that to you to go over. There may be many more letters flagging than I can get to too. It's just to keep a tighter running show time. Anyway, let's keep going here. So we've got A, B, and C. We're going to look at these elements a little bit closer with some enhancement. You can see why. We have like a triangular shape going on in here, a heavier, denser form is happening behind some plasma wafting in front. This is either one object or a couple of objects divided, or this is just cloaking material wafting over one bigger object, hard to say. And something dense and strange is happening here too. I am calling these separate elements because, normal clouds would just blow across, maybe billow up, but still in general move along. This is coming up on a sharp angle, this is going straight, this is hooking around doing its own thing. So I'm saying this is artificial tech of some type happening up in that sky, being cloaked. Now we're going to take a slightly different view. The upper left is the original, and down here is the enhanced version. So here's that little shape, or not little, but that shape doing its thing, that other thing around at B. Now I want to focus on C and D. So now we see the scene kind of unfolding and expanding, and you can see why this overall thing caught my attention too, because look at this sharp, sharp line at D.1. That's not a natural cloud formation. And why is it jutting out and up at a sharp angle while this is flat, this is, heading upward? It's all just so bizarre. So let's look at C and D with a little more enhancement. Again, you see the sharp line, very dense, has like this other, color signature and consistency of like cloaking material around it, shrouding it a bit. And then, this too looks kind of like a fish shape. So I'm calling that a craft and that a craft or object of some type. When I say craft too, it can be just some object, it can be tech, but in this case, I don't know what it would be. All right, now in this view, we're looking south. These are all happening on June 19th, by the way, the day before the summer solstice. So in this one, I just see the moon, and I just see this weird wisp-like thing coming down all by itself, very, obvious. And so we're going to look at A and B, because I noticed something happening down at B as well. And voila, when we look at the enhanced version, we see a denser body happening here. And then this looks like it has a triangular shape to it. So I don't know what that is. See what you think it is. But just one thing hanging in the sky at that angle is, pretty conspicuous. All right, now we're going to look at strange cloud activity looking toward the west, toward the evening. And again, I think you can see why I flagged B. I mean, that's a very weird shape with very straight lines to be a cloud. And then at A, it looked like there was some kind of activity brewing here that looked not natural, let's say, that looked a little more artificial. So let's just focus on B for now. B.1, it looks like plasma floating around it. Look at these weird little things popping up at different angles. And so we're going to go up to B.2, zooming in on B, and we really see some straight lines here. Those don't happen in natural clouds. What that is it a craft? Is it some type of tech, instrumentation, a sensor? I don't know. See what you think it is. Then we're looking at a similar scene looking off to the west. We're going to look at A and B. A, again, we get this really sharp straight line. I don't know if that's the same thing that we looked at from before in the other scene. The other scene was looking to the northwest. This is looking west. Then we have these strange objects kind of popping out at the profile of this thing. So we're going to zoom in and look at this. This has a notch, but it looks like it has very symmetrical things happening at the ends of that notch. So I think this is intelligent design. Looks like something zoomed down here if you follow this trajectory. Either something is like blowing something down across this thing, or this craft, came and landed on the front or something, because look at it, masks out, this object in two places. See what you think is going on. Is something shooting down at this, like this is a craft with things sitting on top, and it crosses in front of this thing? Or is this the target? I don't know, but I think there's a very interesting story developing there. Okay, we're going to zoom in yet again, removing all color just to look at everything in a slightly different way. And here we get a good look at whatever this plasma stuff is. It's cloaking something that's jutting out off of this thing. That's what I'm going to say. And this looks like it's cloaking something jutting off of here as well. So I think this is a bigger craft that has things just sitting on the bow of it, so to speak. And this is like a companion craft or something. And then this thing flew down, and I don't know if it's friend or foe to these things. See what you think. All right, here now we're going to look in the, still looking west, but more to the northwest. Now the original's in the upper left, the enhanced is the lower, bigger version down here. And look at this. This is definitely some type of designed cloak and craft. There's nothing in nature that can form like this in the skies over South Florida, which are hot and humid. And this is insanely low in altitude. So, we're just talking, this is something of artificial cloaking means. And then we have things, popping up in the background too that look like they could be something cloaking. Again, they either have a rigid geometry with a line or going off at weird angles. And just look at this. So this is either one craft or maybe multiples, creating this overall form. I'm not sure. See what you think is going on, however, as always. And we're going to just zoom in. Here's that original view again. We're zooming in a little bit closer. Looks like some object is hiding behind here with something, again, cloaking material coming in front of it. And this is just too perfect to be anything haphazard. We've got an arcing line, very rigid line coming across here. We've got stuff with dimension to it, shadows here and bright points. So again, I can't tell you exactly how that is or how many pieces are cloaking in here. This could be an independent piece cloaking, or again, it could all be one thing. See what you think. All right, now we're going to look to the northwest in the morning. This is now finally the summer solstice itself, but we're looking northwest, and this caught my attention right away, this red-pink spot. And so we look with some enhancement, and there you can see it a little bit better, but we still can't quite get at what the heck is going on. We have what looks like the base of a triangular form up here, and darker shadow beyond. Something strange happening on a different angle here. The overall character is very choppy and fuzzy, even to the naked eye, and that's what I like to call staccato cloud, because it seems very choppy and dissonant. And then here we have a clear line here that shows an object happening here. I'm calling that cloak and craft. And what I think is happening is there's some type of craft or multiple craft happening in the area or above the cloud layer, quote-unquote cloud layer, artificially generated cloud layer, that are creating either electromagnetic wave activity or other types of frequency waves that start to make the whole sky look choppy. Now here we're going to turn and look to the east, still the morning of the summer solstice, where A is down here, where my cursor is, that's where the sun is supposed to come up. I'm going to use sun in quotes. You'll see why if you look at previous shows that I've done and look around at other Earth and Sky watching channels on YouTube, and you'll see what that's all about, alluding to or actually calling out that the sun that we see these days is being veiled, and there's an original sun that's being masked by solar technology, tech up in the sky to alter the way we perceive our original sun. Anyway, take a look at that in previous shows. I don't want to cover that right now. But anyway, especially the Phoenix, the recent show with the Phoenix, and the title covers it. Anyway, look at the strange, cloud patterning happening above, but more so the strange color signatures. So we've got a red-pink color burst here. If you look at my description box below, you'll see what could be causing that. I'm sure there are plenty of other reasons why that could be generating. Those are just some that I call out. Anyway, then we've got a golden, more yellow, pale yellow signature, and this gets more orange and reddish orange and fiery in nature. And then we get this, burst of white and blue, kind of very otherworldly looking light color signature. So again, why so many different color signatures in one area? I covered that in previous shows too. Anyway, now let's look to the west-northwest and get a little bit better glimpse of why was that so red-pink, and why was that the only thing floating around with that color signature. We look to the right, we get a little bit better view, but everything is still a little, fuzzy, even to the naked eye, but I know even more so when I try to put the enhancement on it. However, look here, this looks like a swath, like something is just diving down, and like this red, it looks like it's even catching it. And so that's pretty curious. So let's just take another little view at this. We're going to expand out and look at it in a horizontal format, and this is actually the cover slide of the show. But even to the naked eye here, you kind of see some movement kind of doglegging in down this way with some different color signatures. So let's look with enhancement, and here we go. This thing is banking around down here. It looks like the object down here itself. It's very ghost-like, but it does look like it has symmetry to it. It does look like a symmetrical object. So I'm going to say that this has design intelligence to it. Now, I don't know if this is floating and doing like a flyby in front of whatever's happening beyond, or if they have a relationship where this thing is like catching this thing and it's docking with this thing, that I really don't know. So I'll leave that to you to see what kind of story is going on here. But I do see darker shapes happening beyond that have mass to them. So this could be just part of an overall bigger object. And then over here to the right, this looks like it has little projections that seem pretty regular, like a texture to it, with shadow and brighter points. So I'm going to say this thing has intelligent design too. Now I don't know if this is a trapezoid or it's just truncated because we can't see the rest of what's going on. Again, with any of these, I'm going to leave these to you to have a longer look around when you have a little more time. Okay, here's another scene looking south. The left-hand side is the original, the right is the enhanced version. And look at this color signature popping up at 8.1. I don't have any answers of what's going on here, but I see this. Look, bam, bam, bam. 3 things all in the same line going parallel to each other. While we have this one kind of going a little more level and something weird, very weird happening around here, right? And all these little parallel lines. This looks like it has a triangular shape over here and something strange happening up here. Plus this whiter, overall configuration that looks very choppy and strange, yet has a little bit of a form to it with a circle happening going on there. I'm not sure what's going on in that overall scene, but it just looks odd, and that's why I'm flagging it. And again, I'm just like zooming in here a little bit more. We've got bright red signature and then white above. Again, pardon the background noise. Somebody's operating obnoxious machinery in my area outside. Anyway, here we go. Then we're going to look at that. Let me go back one, sorry. So at 8.2, we're going to zoom in on this overall scene, looking like at here where my cursor is on that burn spot. And then just changing some of the color saturation just to kind of not be distracted by that red-pink color. And here's that burn spot. It's looking a little triangular in shape to me. And then here's, looking at that thing that I'm saying is cloaking. And then we have, look at these repetition of these little elements that are parallel to each other. I am not sure what's going on in here, but I'm going to say that, there are wave patterns being generated. Something's going on. And I'm going to say there's cloak and craft, and I have no idea what's going on with that red-pink object. Now we're going to look at another scene looking south. It just felt like some strange stuff was going on too. Here's that element where that thing was zooming down into it. So let's take a look with some enhancement, and here we go. Just getting another view at this thing. Still don't know what it is exactly. But look at B.1, it's looking like a triangular form. We've got straight lines happening on each side. And then this looks like an overall triangular form too. And we're picking up a little bit of that red-pink signature, which really had no explanation where it was coming from because it did not correspond with anything happening way over where the sun was supposedly coming up. So I do think that these things are generating their own red-pink color signature. See what you think. Then we're going to take another view looking south. The left is the original, the right is the enhancement. And here we go, red, pink. We've got some weird stuff happening beyond. Again, very choppy and staccato-like. Then here, this looks like a triangular shape, so like a cloak and craft with some stuff like a trail of vapor and plasma coming behind it. We're going to look again at that little triangular shape, zoomed in, and just look at all this weirdness going on. Things kind of haphazard going off at different angles. And then we see it with some enhancement. We got some really bright points back here. I have a different color signature that tells me something is likely cloaking behind all of this mess. This looks like actually like a triangular form out front. Again, there's our little triangular symmetrical triangle form. So I think that's some type of craft or object. See what you think is going on in here, but there is a lot happening in this overall scene. And then we're going to look back over to the east-northeast where sun, in quotes, is still supposed to be coming up. Again, we get this really weird effect happening up in the cloud above. It's really not typical, and especially at the altitude that it's at. That's why I flagged it. And again, we get this red-pink signature while this is doing its own thing with intense yellow and white. And this is like a paler gold, and yet we still have all these different color signatures happening in one place. That's just not normal. And then I look to the north as of the scene where we were just looking. And what caught my attention here was we've got this swath coming straight down vertical, right? While this is curving below at C. And then this looks like a solid mass, and then it gets weaker, and it looks like something's like detaching off of this thing down here, like shooting off of it. And we've got this real straight line. So let's look at this with some enhancement. Here you go. You see that more solid mass, and it looks like it's ejecting something down here. Here's a curve, a perfect curve, as is this. And then this is like a curve with some, shrouded in some plasma material. So I'm going to say there's craft here, some type of object happening in here and down here as well. See what you think is going on in that one. And then here, we're still going to pick up the line to the left. That's just where we were looking. This straight element coming down. Look to the right at the enhanced version. Now we see something weird happening at A. It's red-pink. B was that element with that outcrop thing shooting down, ejecting. It's starting to morph and look different. And then we've got, again, this straight curved line holding true. So to me, that's some type of craft or appendage of a craft, let's say. And then at C.1, we start getting some weird things popping up in here as well. Now we're going to look to the southwest. Still, this is at like 6:30-ish in the morning. And we see a color signature here be the red-pink. And everything just looked a little odd and worth, examining with some enhancement. And there, look at that. We get not only red-pink signature here, but we see it other places in the photo. And we get weird darker bodies that look like craft to me. Just a strange overall scene. We get a burst of white happening here when everything else kind of has a color tone to it. So what is going on in this overall scene? Let's see what you think. Now we're going to look south again. We're going to look at this element. Just see if we can see anything else. And really, I just pull more out at C.1 and D.1 in this case. Is this thing, it has all the same purple color signature. Is that all one piece with some like openings dividing it? Or is this, one piece with the curve and the flat line here separate from this like triangular form? I'm not sure, but see what you think. I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff being cloaked in here. It's the feeling I'm getting off of that photo. And then now we're going to look at dead straight south in panorama fashion. And, here we see that object we were looking at earlier. But now we get a little more context. So there's this other thing or collection of things cloaked floating above. Here at D.1, we get a clearer view at the triangle. And again, I'm just going straight to the enhanced version. But obviously the bottom is the original. Okay, now looking south, what caught my attention here was the pure curve form at the bottom, curve form here. Looks like these are almost mirror elements, mirrors of each other with something in the center. So to get that effect, really looks like this thing is moving up one way and this is moving toward it to dock. And that looks like a pretty level docking bridge or element to me. So it looks like this thing is docking up to this, which is also part of something bigger. That's what I'm going to go with for now. See what you think, but we got a straight line here. We got all kinds of strange things going on in this overall scene. I'm going to jump ahead for now for time's sake. Have fun looking around at that one. Now we're going to look to the west at 6:42 in the morning, again on the summer solstice, and it's all like this big gray blanket, except we start to see weird features popping out at all kinds of angles here. And so we're going to look at the enhanced version. Look at this. This has shadow and kind of more reflected surface at the top. It's arcing down. Well, this one's going up. Well, this one's coming a little bit down or level, and this is doing its own thing back here. I'm going to say, I don't know if this is, all part of one craft or if these are separate elements, but I'm going to say it's artificial, whatever it is back there being cloaked. Then we're going to look to the south, hop back over to the south. Things get weird over here, just the texture and consistency, but what caught my attention the most was A. Let's look to the right. Actually, and when we look at A at the right, at the enhanced version 2, we got something weird coming down this way. This looks like a rectangular shape, but part of a bigger thing with cloaking in front of it. But look at this. I don't know if this is all one big thing, but I do know that these two elements are, mirror images of each other. And there seems to be something crossing. And it looks like this overall thing, has a trail behind it, like it zoomed down and up to, our foreground here. That's just what I'm seeing. It looks like stuff is cloaked back in here as well. Again, this is another one of these things. Take a look on your own time. There is high strangeness, as they say, going on all over the place in this photo. Okay, now we just have a more normal-ish scene. Looking northeast at the sunrise as it's trying to come up. Again, I use sun in quotes. Look at my other shows on that. But here there seems to be a bent triangular shape with some cloaking material in front of it. It just was like an odd man out coming across. It just looked very strange. Speaking of more odd man out and strangeness, this is another quote-unquote cloud formation. Looks very artificial. And these started marching along the horizon here, the immediate horizon, at an extremely low altitude. And they had a weird consistency, and they were all heading, not so coincidentally, toward where the sunrise was coming up to mask it. And so here at A, we have this clear curve coming down. Here it is over on the enhanced version. Just a very odd-looking thing. Then at C, we have more of this low-altitude stuff. But now we're going to switch back over to the south. We were just at the east. And look at all these different types of cloud things happening. I mean, there's just so many. It's just almost comical that would ever be like natural cloud in the sky. It's not. And so here we go. Different color signatures. Look at the shapes. We've got a darker imprint, like shadowy figure. At D.1, look at that clean line on it. That's a triangle. Looks like an arrowhead. Very clean designed entity here. And then, we've got weird things. Look at 8.1. Looks like a stick coming right off of here. This is like a weird patterning and texture happening. It has structure to it, happening in front with parallel lines this way and crossing back this way. Here we have something straight across. Here, this looks, also very suspect as being something cloaking back in here. See what you think is happening in this overall bizarre scene. Now we're looking to the west, still on the summer solstice. Now this one, oh, hang on, my apologies. This is the east, not west. So we're looking east, and it's still toward the sunrise is supposedly coming up toward the left here on this photo. So let's jump over to the right, and here we go. See the outlines here happening here and here. These look like similar animals, so I'm going to say something's cloaking here and here. Again, look at the strange color signatures. We get warm, and then we get this like white-blue LED effect happening up in here with the choppy cloud. I'm going to say there's something generating that, above. So some type of craft is creating the atmospheric disturbance, pretty local. Okay, now we're going to jump back to, we're still at the east, but now we're going to look in at those strange clouds, very low in altitude. And look at that perfect curve. I mean, that's an object of some type. And look at this. These look like waves, perfect little waves trailing behind it. And you see different consistencies between this stuff and then this beyond. So here we go. It looks like there's a point here, and a symmetrical capsule-like shape being cloaked in here. And especially when you see the different color signatures. We get the reds and purples, and then this fades out to gold. These are different animals forming an overall scene. It's just very strange. And then speaking of that, here's that tail end, and then right abutting it is this other like crescent moon or C shape with weird stuff popping off of it. And then, that's all happening down here. So, and then we're looking at the overall scene above. It looks like etched triangular, forms happening at A and B. We'll look at that, so it looks like if you look at the outline, this looks like one bigger triangle, another triangle here as well. This might also be a triangular form happening there where my cursor is. Again, look at the different color signatures and all the craziness going on. Now we're going back to the horizon again, these really low, weird altitude looking clouds. This has a split seam, that's like perfect, like they can almost be puzzle pieces. That's also strange. Like this thing is piggybacking on this thing. It looks like darker stuff hiding behind this plasma material. And then we look at that. That's like a sharp peak popping out. This also looks like a perfect triangular form happening here. And there's something strange happening right there that's pretty solid. See what you think all of that is. Now we're on the highway, taking it north toward Fort Lauderdale, northwest. And look at this this whole thing looked artificial, okay, this entire quote-unquote storm cloud. And then look at this notch. It's a perfect symmetrical triangle, in the void if you look at it. So we go to the right, you still see that notch, and you see something weird popping out right in the center of that notch, dumping stuff, right? And so we're presuming that's rain, but this looks all way too artificially generated. So here we go. Here's that little thing, in between that notch out, that perfect, angled notch out. And then this has a different color signature than what's going around this. So these two things are different. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but I'm going to just tell you the whole thing felt synthetic, artificial, not natural at all. And I'm not even sure what water it was dumping. That would be very interesting to like test whatever's in there, in the water. So here we're looking off toward the northeast this time, off the highway, and just this overall, everything just looks strange again. But looked even stranger, this dark triangle. And again, it's an equilateral triangle, straight edges. That's not natural to any cloud system. And then we got weird stuff tufted around it, like this plasma stuff, and then like a more solid object down there, it looks like. So we're going to look at it with enhancement. You can see better what's going on, a little bit better anyway. And we're going to zoom in even more. And this thing at B.1 looks like a pipe coming out. So is this a pipe that's generating this plasma stuff? I don't know. Then outcropping is happening over here, and I don't know what that is at C.1. See what you think. Okay, now we're going to look at overall scene looking west. This is now the day after the summer solstice, on the 21st. And just looked like something weird streaking through the sky, creating this streaking motion in this kind of staccato mess. Looks like a darker, sphere-like object, and weirdness coming out of whatever is supposed to be the sun in quotes down here. This also looks like an object with straight edges, could be, masking and cloaked in here. So we look with some enhancement, and we see that red-pink color signature. This is kind of looking like it has some form to it up here. C.1, we're going to get into zooming in what's happening in front of this quote-unquote sun. And again, we have this darker imprint object happening beyond at A.1. So we zoom in toward that sun, and look at this. We've got perfect curves with like a stick-like element popping up here. This looks like an overall triangular form with some stuff popping out that has dimension to it. And then we're going to move in on that D element and look, perfect curve, perfect curve. You know, this looks like a designed element coming in front of our sun, quote unquote sun. Then we have A, B, and C. Again, this just looks all very strange texture-wise, although this could all be part of a bigger craft happening this way. And as we zoom into those A, B, and C elements, you just see they look strange. You know, it doesn't look like natural cloud or anything. It looks like it has density to it. See what you think is going on. Then we go to A, B, C, and D. I'm not going to cover each one individually, but look, we've got a curve this way, a curve going back the opposite way. We've got these things splaying off in all different directions. That does not happen in normal cloud, natural cloud activity. And we'll just take another look. That has a triangular shape at E.1. Again, these things are even parallel to each other. Just all kinds of strangeness. You know, this little thing out and out over here. See what you think is going on there. Now this is a little blurry and hazy. My camera just couldn't grab it too well. The light was starting to get dimmer in the sky. But anyway, to the naked eye, I saw that this had a different color than this. So A is not, I repeat, not a lens flare. I saw it with my own eyes. And so we're going to look at this little scene a little bit more with enhancement. We see there's a cooler bluish green color happening, and then this golden yellow. We zoom in and look at 8.2, and we in fact see like a little object in here, whether it's triangular shape or something else. There's a point coming toward us that looks brighter than the rest, so it looks like some little object is hugging down here. Don't know what it's doing or why. See what you think is going on. Now we're going to look at this scene looking west, and again this is toward the evening, so 7:14 p.m. And we have this, you know, very symmetrical shape happening here, you know, kind of elliptical with a point toward it. We have this weird movement coming out here. Look at that. And then this sweeping movement going this way. So we're going to look at that with enhancement. Again, we get that red-pink signature popping up. We get like this tail moving along. I mean, this has to be some type of cloak and craft. We have darker objects here. Like what came in and hooked around and landed here? Or vice versa. What's popping up out of here and over here? I don't know. See what you think. But I'm going to say there's cloak and craft activity going on there. And now we'll look at this scene, mainly D. But here at B, we've got some shapes that kind of echo each other. If we look at this with enhancement, look at this etch work here. We got parallel lines, looks like a triangular form beyond it. And then we have B, you know, it's like a pointed ellipse. This one too, it's a lowercase b because it looks like a sister or brothership to this. Cloaking is what I'm going to say. But what's this overall installation? We got this thing streaming through, this arcing band. You know, are they connected to this thing? You know, is there a triangular craft happening down here? Something else cloaking here? It's really hard to get a good fix on what's going on, but it's all kinds of strange. And then let's look at D. We're going to zoom in. Now I'm calling it A. But anyway, look at that little element. That was just floating on by itself. That's got to be something cloaking. You know, it's a pointed elliptical shape, weird things happening within it. We look at it with enhancement, and that's what we get. Looks like this thing is like folding from behind over it. I don't know. It just looks very carefully constructed. See what you think is happening back there, though. All right, now this is the photo of the week and the close of the show. So thank you for planting yourself here a while, and I hope you enjoyed what I presented here. And I hope you are looking, you know, all around your area, wherever you are, and documenting things as well. It's great to compare and share notes on this stuff. Anyway, no matter where you are, no matter what time it is, day or night, I wish you a gorgeous now and tremendous peace and love. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.